Hello everyone, Rare Mod Reviews here, and today we'll be reviewing the P Bandai exclusive SH Figuarts Android 19. So this is actually kind of a bit of a throwback for me. I mentioned that during unboxing, but when I was a kid I had an action figure of this thing, and it's just really cool seeing a more modern take on said action figure. And in typical SH Figuarts fashion, this thing is just amazing. It looks great, it's sculpted wonderfully. Again, as with all these figures, no painting is necessary. I mean, maybe you could probably paint these laces black and make them pop. Not sure if they're supposed to be black in the anime or not. Do some lining, but besides that, I mean, you really don't need to touch these things. The lining is super duper optional, and it's just even like you can see here with the earrings, those are painted in that gold color, and this thing just looks amazing. It looks like it hops straight off the screen. So we're not going to waste any time here. We're going to go ahead and shoot straight into the articulation. So the head can move side to side. You cannot quite move it 360 as, well, actually, no. Oh, okay, well, it did this time. Usually I try to 360, it kind of it kind of pops out, but I guess I did kind of have my hand a bit on it. But moving on, as you can see here, there's a little bit of articulation in the collar, a little bit in the neck as well. It's on a ball joint, so it kind of wiggles side to side, whatnot a little bit, but not the worst articulation I've seen for the head. So the arms can pivot out like so. You can, of course, move them 360 there. Now, there's like a double joint for the arm, yet you can't really move it much at all. This is the most you're getting at it, so very lackluster movement on the arm. Again, ball joint for the hand there, and there's like a bit of a pivot there you can see there. So you can move that arm up and down a little bit, or hand rather. And I guess you could sort of do a bit of a cross arm pose this thing, not really, but you know, again, articulation's a bit limited on this thing, and it's just funny because the original figure even was a bit limited, so I'm guessing it's just kind of the way this guy's built. He's built kind of like a fridge, so naturally he's not going to be moving much. The leg articulation's just as poor as you would expect. It does have a nice toe movement, but all of these do. Move this thing side to side. Wouldn't quite chance this thing 360, although this little point under it you can move, so that's actually a nice bonus. So again, same like the arms. There's multiple, divots or what have you, or pointers, I guess you should say, to articulation on a lot of these areas here. But again, he's not really going to be reaching his full potential here for a lot of this articulation. So, if my memory serves it correctly, I'd say this thing is a bit more articulate than the original figure that came out years ago, but at the same time, this thing is still a bit of a fridge, and you're not going to see it moving around much. So this is everything that comes in a box. As you can see here, we have 4 sets of different hands, or rather 5 if you count the ruin arms, hands, or whatever you might want to call this. You have multiple sets of faces here, as well as a alternate head plate or face, whatever you want to call that, for Vegeta, which of course is sold separately, as well as 2 head pieces for the top of his head. As you can see, you can interchange all these parts onto it, and what I really like is they have this little stick here which you can use to help put those heads on and off. I'll shut it off a little later in the review. And later is going to be now, so there's time for us to go ahead and look at the accessories for this thing. So I guess the first thing we'll show off would be some of the sets of alternative hands. So first off, I wanted to show off these, I guess you'd call these like repelling hands, as that's what they kind of show this thing doing in some of the mock-ups. This guy's smacking away Key Blast. But one thing I want to point out as there is the red little energy absorption bits you have there in the hands, and this is going to also be the case for the other hands, such as the suction hands or Key Blast hands, whatever you want to call these. They all have those nice little absorption bits inside the palms there. So this isn't a fashion show. We're not going to sit here and show this guy off with all of his extra hands. I'm just going to go ahead and put on one set. Keep it simple. So one thing I can say is these things pop on and off very well. Not much of a struggle with putting these things on and off. So that is one plus this thing has over some other figures which struggle for you to take these things on and off. So I will give it a plus on that. Let's say as this one doesn't quite fit on right, but that's more of an error on my part than the figure. So another thing I'm going to go ahead and get straight into is going to be the heads. So there are multiple different heads you have here. This one being my favorite, the damage, basically his final moments here. Yeah, this one was just reminiscent to the default head, except his irons are kind of looking to the side there a bit. You have him smirking. Obviously, he's finally getting out there and fighting the DBZ team, and he's just kicking the tail. And then you have this menacing laugh face here. Now, it also has a different alternative headpiece, which is going to be this brain pod thing. And I guess I'll show it off on one of these, but basically you would just go ahead and plop it right on top of the head like so. And then, as I mentioned before, with this little divot here, which you can use, there is a hole on the bottom of the head. So basically, instead of you having to struggle to get this thing off, you just align that little stick there with the hole, and you push it out like so. And voila, you can go ahead and get that brain pod off. And then go ahead and take the, one of the heads off. And again, you'd be able to do the same thing, pop that on out. And this works with all the heads, by the way. You can put these, the cap or the brain pod over any of the alternate heads. And you plug it on in like so. Now, unfortunately, this is where I give you guys the bad news about this guy. I am very disappointed in this figure, and I'm not going to give the verdict just yet, but this right here is definitely the make or break for this figure, I'm going to say right now, and you're going to see when I give the verdict later on down the line. But none of these heads seem to work with the actual figure itself. And when I say, what I mean by that is, try as I might, I cannot get any of these heads to fit onto the body itself. I painstakingly tried for what felt like an hour trying to get these heads on and off this guy. And believe me, this is not me wanting to give this thing a negative review or anything, but I mean, these things aren't coming on, none of them. At this point, the only way for you to get these heads on, I'm finding, is for you to do some sort of modification. It's just that they either made the hole on the head or the little ball joint here too small. I don't know. I mean, it fits just fine with the default one, as you can see. No problems. Came right on. But I tried with any of these other heads, it just will not go on. And yeah, it definitely leaves a bad taste in my mouth, as this guy was pretty expensive. I believe he cost about $70 to $90. So for those heads to not come on, it's huge. It really weighs down the potential this thing has. I mean, I can at least make some use of this head right here by putting on a brain pod on top of it and having, you know, Vegeta step it on his head like he did the anime, but that's about it. The rest of these heads are useless. I can't do anything with them. So I'd have to figure out some way to modify them and get them on to the main body, but right now they don't work. And yeah, it really burns having something like that go down. But moving on to the final accessory, that is going to be these damaged arms, which I always feel like I'm putting on the wrong side because they do not come in quite as easy as I believe they ever should. Like I just realized, apparently these things only go on one side, and I got the sides messed up. So once you figure out which side they're supposed to go on, they'll pop right on in, and voila. Although I would have loved to have showed this off the messed up face. That would have really kind of completed these, so that he has this kind of neutral face while he has his arms blown off or ripped off. I mean, regardless, as you can see here, we have the effect piece of him with his arms taken off. And again, it's just, I mean, these look great and all that. It's just, again, you'd ideally want this on one of the other heads, not the default one. I mean, definitely the brain part on this one. I just really wish that they did some sort of quality control to make sure these heads went on the body here. I don't know if I got a limit or what. Maybe I should be trying to contact Bandai, say, hey, give me another one. This one isn't working or whatever. But I'd like to think that this is all of them, not just mine. So, of course, if anyone who happened to have gotten this thing, maybe you want to see if you're not alone out there, please don't be shy. Let me know in the comments if you got an Android 19, you're having these same issues. So I really want to believe that I just got a limit, not that what has so far been a sterling SH Figuarts line hasn't done something like this. This really kind of makes me not want to buy any more of these figures, at least for a while, despite the fact that the rest of them have been great so far. I mean, this one just really, it really burns having one that a key part of the figure isn't working. But regardless, we still have one more thing to show off, and that's going to be the size comparison / additional face here for Vegeta. So that is going to be for the Awakened Super Saiyan Blood Vegeta here. It's basically just him screaming. I didn't even notice the difference between the other ones until I looked at it now, but if you want to check out that review and everything that this guy comes with, go ahead and check that out on the channel. I did that some time ago. So we're going to just end this off with a nice size comparison, as well as you seeing this extra figure here, and I'm going to give my verdict. So this should be no surprise to any of you guys, but I can't recommend this guy. The whole face is not fitting on is just detrimental. In tandem with the articulation, I mean, it's how can I recommend something that you can only get so many poses out of, in addition to the faces not being able to be interchanged? That's huge, you know? So naturally, I'm going to have to tell you guys not to bother with this guy, which sucks because, I mean, it does give you that alternate face for Vegeta, so maybe you'd want to get it based on that, but I mean, again, he's not much of a poser. I mean, he looks good, but you just can't get the full potential of it as of now, and it's really just, no, don't get this thing. I mean, I'm trying to draw my thoughts out here, honestly, just so I could kind of get this pose they showed off, what you wanted to do with this, basically, you know, him ripping his arm off and kicking him, but I need to actually basically pull this off. But I digress. So, of course, this has been Rare Model Reviews here. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in a review, which hopefully doesn't end off in such a sour note here. Thank you for watching.